Fuck. Neuronymous.
Hey, my fellow neurotics. This is Hal, and it's another episode of Neuronymous. Today's a special day because it is my birthday. I turned 38. Yeah, right around the corner from 40. I am old as fuck. Sorry to all you 60-year-olds who now think they're way older than fuck than me. But, anywho... yeah, so today's, I have to say, I just have to say this, I am a complete birthday diva. This day is about me. I try not to I want everything to be exactly about me, nothing else. Nobody can do anything that's contradictory to me. Everybody must bow down to my will. My wife is holding knives right now and scissors, so I am not sure she abides by that particular rule. So, so anyway, yeah, it's been a while. It's been a real long time since I've done the show. Partly because I suffer from depression. And I've been having I was having some really, really bad depression, and I just didn't feel like talking, and, what's ironic is that I feel like I can talk to you guys the most, so, I don't know, depression is just such a funky, weird fucking thing, it's crippling sometimes, you just don't want to do anything, and I'm not the type of person who usually, lets it all out, and, I get angry, I can get angry, but, I don't really voice my anger, and I went to Omaha to refresh, and I learned a few lessons on this particular trip. One, never throw your wife under the bus. 2, never throw your parents under the bus. And 3, if you're frustrated with the way things are and you vent to, say, A, parents or B, wife, don't throw either one of them under the bus. Simultaneously. It all blew the fuck up in my face. And, I owed a few apologies to a few people. And I'm lucky I'm still alive to celebrate my 38th birthday. God, 38. Sorry. I'll stop talking about being 38. Anyway. So what do we talk about? Jeez. I don't know. I mean, it is my birthday, and I love movies. So this is long overdue, but, I've been wanting to do my best of 2018 for a while. So let's do that. Let's start there, and we'll go from there. So number 10 is Bohemian Rhapsody. Fantastic movie. I had some misgivings because Rami Malek won Best Actor. He wasn't doing the singing, and and I kind of was just like, well, why does he deserve Best Actor? He didn't sing. He didn't do this or that or the other. But I was watching the special features on Bohemian Rhapsody. I finally got around to seeing it. And, he had to do a lot of shit to prepare for the role. A lot of shit. And the music and the soundtrack is just fan-fucking-tastic. It's a tremendous movie. I've been obsessed with Queen lately. And what's weird is, and I don't, this is my own naivete, but for some reason, I always thought that all the members of Queen were gay. Surprise, no. And not only that, but Freddie Mercury is not just was not gay, which, by the way, caused some uproar with when Rami Malek accepted his Oscar. He referred to uh, Freddie Mercury as being a gay man. Well, Freddie Mercury was not a gay man. That's total bisexual erasure there. It's Freddie Mercury was bisexual. He had many relationships with women. So, people get the idea, and like I said, I've always thought, Queen being, being gay, as that's why they were called Queen, but I was proven wrong. It was God save the Queen or God bless the Queen, something like that. But anyway, great movie, great soundtrack. I'm obsessed with Queen now. I can't stop playing the music. So, moving on. Number 9, the peppermint. People will probably be like, peppermint? What the fuck is that? And that's probably an accurate sentiment that most people will have, because nobody saw that movie. And I gotta say, it was fantastic. It was really good. I mean, Jennifer Garner, it was a total badass. I mean, it made her days as oh gosh, I think Sydney. Sydney on Alias. It made her look like a little fucking mouse. This incarnation of Jennifer Garner was just absolute badass. It was a great action movie. It's from the guy who directed Taken, Pierre Morel. The original Taken, not the other shitty ones where you start questioning, Liam Neeson's parenting skills, considering somebody goes missing 3 times. I don't know. Anyway, so Jennifer Garner, her family, her daughter, and her husband, her daughter and her husband are killed by the cartel, are murdered in a drive-by, and she sees who they are, and they try to pay her off. They try and say, hey, you're not going to get any justice with this. And she goes missing for about 5 years and comes back like John Wick style, and fucking goes to town on the whole cartel. Like, she brings the whole cartel down. Like, she's been doing like MMA fighting, or UFC or whatever you want to call it. I don't watch the mixed martial arts or the UFC fighting, but she was doing that in the 5 years and learning how to shoot guns and stuff. It really, I felt very emasculated after watching that movie, because she broke a doorknob with her fucking elbow to keep a group of drug dealers in there, and I'm just like, I can barely close my closet door. I have to it takes 3 times for me to close my closet, my laundry, the door to my closet. What closet do I have that I can't close? Good Lord. I can barely close my linen closet without having assistance from my wife. Okay, so it was probably one of the best action movies of 2018, and like I said, Jennifer Garner just fucking ruled that role, and it was amazing. Next up, number 8 is A Quiet Place. I love that movie. It was fantastic. John Krasinski. It wasn't his debut. He directed another movie. I think it was called The Haulers, based on a novel. But it just showed what amazing skill he has as not just a filmmaker, but as an actor. I mean, the whole movie is basically a silent film. I mean, there are just a few sparse lines of dialogue throughout the film. and they say everything that needs to be said, and it just goes to show that less is more sometimes. I mean, it's a very tight movie. It's like an hour and a half, I think, with credits. And I mean, so basically, the plot of the story is, mankind is pretty much fucked as usual, because that's what happens in post-apocalyptic movies. And there are these creatures that, like, they respond to sound. Like, so you have to be really quiet. I mean, for God's sakes, this family who lost one of their kids because of these creatures. We don't really know much about these creatures. We don't know if they're aliens or if we don't know what they are. They're just monsters, So there are these monsters or creatures or aliens or whatever the fuck you want to call them, and they respond to sound. And like, this is how extreme it is. Like, they actually have footprints on the floor to know which places to walk on, so the floor doesn't crack, or creak. So I mean, it's a really intense movie, and it's kind of like a slow burn. Like it starts out, you're kind of like, oh, what's going on? I don't know, and then all of a sudden, it's like bam! It becomes like it's almost it's intense. I would say is almost like one of the good aliens movies. I don't think I've been so white knuckle in a movie in a long time. Like it's like, oh God. And I'm not even a parent. I'm not a parent. So I mean, as if I can only imagine what a parent must feel like watching that movie, because the kids are always in jeopardy, and parents are so protective of their children, and that's the the biggest line in the movie is, how can we protect our children? That's the question that Emily Blunt, terrific performance. Sorry, I love her, but she's not Mary Poppins. Okay, Julie Andrews is Mary Poppins. Emily Blunt, I love her, not Mary Poppins. And she was in a Mary Poppins movie earlier this year, and I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Maybe she did great. I don't know. But Emily Blunt, you're not Mary Poppins. There's only one Mary Poppins. It's Julie Andrews. Anyway, so it was a great movie, white knuckle, tense film. Go see it. Well, rent it, watch it. I don't know, pirate it. I don't give a shit. Next up, the best comedy of the year, by far, Game Night. That is number 7 in my top 10 list. Game Night stars Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams and Kyle Chandler and the guy who plays Winston on the New Girl, Lamorne Morris. And Michael C. Hall from Dexter, he's in it too. He played Dexter. The whole movie, the whole cast is just completely game. The screenplay is just absolutely airtight. You never know where it's going. I mean, you really don't. And the chemistry between all these actors, just it's almost like that movie The Game with Michael Douglas, where you never know what's real and what's not. But and I'm really excited to say that with Game Night, the directors of the film are John Francis Daly, and who played Sam Weir on Freaks and Geeks. He also played Sweets on Bones, and his partner in crime, Jonathan Goldstein, they directed it. But I'm really excited that John Francis Daly he's a director. He directed a movie, a good movie, one of the best movies of the last year. And like I said, I feel like the screenplay knows exactly where and what it wants to be. at any given point, and no matter how many times I've seen it, and I've seen it about 2 or 3 times, and there's always a new detail that I didn't quite catch the first time. So, just fantastic film, and so I just my friend Angie Thompson, wonderful gal, recommended it to me. She said it's a buyer. You gotta buy it. And so I normally, fuck, who am I kidding? I probably would have fucking bought it anyway. Anyway, next up, the best action movie I've seen in years. John Wick movies don't count. Those are John Wick movies. I don't really consider them as, they're action movies, but they're not like, I don't know why. For some reason, they're kind of in a class of their own. They're not like, big action. They're more like shoot, headshot, shoot you in the head, some martial arts movies. But the best action movie I've seen in years, by far, is Mission Impossible Fallout. It has some of the most breathtaking action films I've ever seen in a movie. Tom Cruise, I've said this before, he really is. He's like the American Jackie Chan, except he can act. Jackie Chan does his own stunts, right? Tom Cruise does his own stunts. I was talking to Darcy Winnis about a month ago when we were talking about Oscar nominations and movies, and we were like, he's gonna get killed one day. He's gonna die. Some of the action scenes that he does, like he's gonna kill himself. And here's the thing: this is people, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I know people have this whole idea that, Scientology, he's crazy, he's a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. But this is how I see things, and maybe I'm wrong. But, like, Scientology, whatever you want to think of it, it's a religion to people. Who are we to say it's not a real religion? You know what I mean? Does it indoctrinate, like, women and all that stuff? Yeah. But what religion doesn't do weird shit with their women? Like, even Jews, like, they have men and women separated. They have, there's certain procedures that women have to do. Like, they have to shave their heads. Orthodox women and wear, like, modesty wigs. I'm not bashing what Jews do. I'm just saying that, who are we to say that Scientology isn't a religion? I'm just saying that, and people, you can disagree with me till you're blue in the face. My mind's not going to get changed. I'm not.
Be ready for hate.
I'm going to get, my wife's in the background, get ready for hate. But you know what? Like I said, I'm not gonna knock somebody's belief in something because I don't subscribe to that particular belief. Like I said, who are we to say it's a religion or it's not a religion? It's not our call. That's my theory. But anyway, Tom Cruise, top notch. The whole cast is great. Simon Pegg has been, I think, 3 or 4 of the Mission Impossibles now. He's always great to see. I've been a big fan of him ever since Shaun of the Dead. The man's just a fantastic comedic actor. He knows how to do the comic relief, probably in his sleep. But the next one, I know people have either loved it or they hated it. My dad thought it was like the worst movie he's ever seen. I think my dad was being a little bit hyperbolic, whatever you want to call it. But the next movie, number 5, is Bad Times at the El Royale. Fantastic movie. Drew Goddard directed it. He wrote the screenplay. You can clearly tell it's a passion project. It's just, the whole cast, again, the whole cast, you never know what's going to happen at any given point. And Chris Hemsworth, he has like a a role that he doesn't really show up until about 3/4 of the way through, but like when he comes onto the screen, he just owns it. He plays kind of a Charles Manson-ish figure, and like you'd think good hot, good looking Chris Hemsworth playing kind of like a Charlie Manson character, and you're just like, I don't see it, but he just rocked the hell out of it, and then there's this actress that I really liked in the movie that I've never seen before in a movie. Her name is Cynthia Erivo. She was in she's been on Broadway before, and she was just terrific as sort of like almost like a she plays sort of like a character that's based on one of the Supremes, like Diana Ross and the Supremes, and she gets, like she stops at this hotel, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that any movie with Jeff Bridges can't be all that bad. It's the same rule I have with Hugh Jackman. Any movie with Hugh Jackman can't be too bad, but like I said, the whole cast is game. You never know where the script is going. You're always on your toes. I mean, and I just love that everything is done in real, not necessarily in real time, but there's a clock on the wall. I was watching the special features, and they were the people behind the scenes were really worried that they were gonna be complete. Like the clock was, the main clock in the hotel was gonna be, they were gonna have like bad cuts, and stuff like that, but everything is done just so like the director knew what time everything occurred and as each event occurred, you know what I mean? So I just thought that was great, and I love it. Had kind of a Quentin Tarantino-ish feel. Dialogue not quite on par with QT, but I really enjoyed it, and yeah, like I said, people die in that movie, and you're like, wait, what? How does that person die? They can't die. That's they're that actor. You can't kill them off. I mean, how much money did they spend to get that actor only to kill them? Really? Wow. Okay. So anyway, so next up on my list is number 4, Green Book. It won Best Picture, and it was up against some pretty heavy competition. It was up against my number 2, which I'll get to in a little while. And Green Book. It's a movie about race, class, sexuality, and just people who are from completely different sides of the universe, and I mean figuratively speaking, race wise, and just one is a bigoted Italian American, racist prick kind of. He's kind of like a kind of like the muscle at like the Copacabana. Thank you. Copacabana. Thank you. Sorry, I will get that right. And he's like the muscle for and he's in public relations, but and then he's hired to take Mahershala Ali, who won Best Supporting Actor for his role of playing real life Don Shirley, and the chemistry between those two actors is just it's a beautiful thing to watch. Just how they just allow themselves to open up to each other, and a lot of people were bashing the movie for winning Best Picture because they thought it was like a reverse Driving Miss Daisy, like, oh look, Viggo Mortensen is gonna, the white guy is gonna be protecting the black guy, whenever the black guy gets in trouble. No, it's not about that at all. It's about a guy realizing that the world is a complicated place, and learning to set aside his not just set aside, but completely his beliefs and his ideas are eradicated by this friendship, this lifelong friendship that he has with Mahershala Ali's character Don Shirley. And it's a beautiful film. It's a beautiful film, and I'm not like into like feel good movies, but like after watching it, I felt like a better person having watched it. And that's the mark of a good movie, I think, is if it changes the way you see things and you see the world. And yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of heat from this episode for saying a lot from my aunt, so it's okay, it's all right. I'll take it. She and I were just talking about that. She was just like, "You gotta stop saying and I'm like, I've been editing it so I can edit out all my but number 3, I just watched yesterday, and I went into it not knowing, just thinking, so many. Oh, all right. I'm just gonna say it. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Number 3 best movie of the year, hands down. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I went into it with fairly decent expectations. Like it won the Oscar for best animated film, but it is so much more than just like a cartoon Spider-Man cartoon. I mean, it's poignant, it's hilarious. It completely redefines the superhero movie for me. It single-handedly restored my faith. I mean, I'm starting to think that a lot of superhero movies are starting to feel very generic and very like, they got to save the world, or they've got, there's a conspiracy, or, they got to fight themselves. And like, to me, it wasn't about that. It was about somebody, a young Ute, is Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny would say, a Ute in New York, finding his way and, coming of age and learning how to grow into being Spider-Man. But it's just so irreverent, and you can clearly tell that the guys who did the Lego movie had their hands in it, which they did. It's like I said, it's irreverent, it's poignant. I mean, there's so many different dimensions, literally and figuratively, that this movie works on. I mean, Nicolas Cage plays a version of Spider-Man. Chris Pine is the voice of a Spider-Man. There are all these different Spider-Mans from different dimensions, but the one true Spider-Man, supposedly, is voiced by Jake Johnson, who you all know from as playing on The New Girl. I can't remember his character's name on Nick. He plays Nick on The New Girl, and he's the voice of Spider-Man. And I have to say, I was really impressed that, in his dimension, that there's a shot of him. He's talking about his origin, where he marries Mary Jane Watson, who is played by Kirsten Dunst in the live action movies. He's played by, they show his origin story, and when they get married, he steps on glass, which is what us Jews do when we get married. The men step on a glass, and so after that, I was just like, wait a second, whoa, Spider-Man's a Jew? That's amazing. That's awesome. This is Spider-Man's Jewish. It's so awesome. And the fact that like he's kind of just given up. He's got like a pot belly now. He wears sweatpants wherever he goes when he's wearing his Spider-Man costume. I mean, it's just so funny, and it's just such a beautiful story and beautifully told. And I felt I was just completely blown away and taken aback by it. So there it is, number 3. Number 2 is A Star Is Born. And that movie, I fell in love with the soundtrack very way before I saw the movie. Like, I listened to the soundtrack and I was thinking, oh, it'll be it's Lady Gaga. I like Lady Gaga, and I respected her as a person because she supports LGBTQ rights, and she's very, very prevalent in that community, and she's just a very, very, she is her own person, and she doesn't give a shit about what people think of her. I mean, she wore, all right, maybe the meat costume that she wore was a little much. I could have gone without that, but she does her own thing. And you know what? Madonna can go fuck herself, because, Madonna, apparently, she and Madonna had a feud for a while, because Madonna is also, an Italian chick from New York, and Lady Gaga is an Italian chick from New York. It's just like the Spider-Man movie. There can be different people from different, there can be more than one, you know what I mean? But here's the thing. With Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga writes her own songs. That, she writes her own songs. She knows how to play multiple instruments. Madonna, I like her. I like her personality. I mean, I like her. She's a good art. I mean, I like her as a pop artist, but she didn't write most of her songs. Patrick Leonard wrote most of her songs, and I think I've talked about this before. But a lot of people think when they think Madonna, they think of all these like a virgin, all that all that bullshit. But here's the thing: she didn't write any of that. I mean, yeah, she became Madonna, but like she doesn't know how to play. I don't think she doesn't know how to really play instruments. Lady Gaga is just a force of nature, and there's and then we haven't even mentioned Bradley Cooper. This movie took like 3 years to make. He had to learn how to sing. He had to learn how to play the guitar, and he had to learn how to lower his voice like at least 1 or 2 registers to sound like. He sounds like Sam Elliott, who is also in the movie and just gives a beautiful performance when he's in there. He was up for supporting actor. Lady Gaga was up for Best Actress. Bradley Cooper was up for Best Actor. I thought all 3 of them should have won, to be honest. Actually, no. Mahershala Ali probably should have won, and he did. He won for Green Book. But Sam Elliott, it gives a beautiful performance. And Lady Gaga, the songs, the singing, the romance, the courtship at the beginning is beautiful. Even Andrew Dice Clay, who I've never had much experience with, because I haven't seen a lot of his stand-up, but I've seen enough where I'm just like, I know he's a legend in the stand-up business, but he is never really one of my favorites. The whole Jack and Jill went up a hill. Oh, like that. It's just never done anything. But he gives this very tender performance as Lady Gaga's character Allie plays. He plays her dad, who's a driver, and it's just the chemistry between these characters are just off the charts. Between Allie and Bradley Cooper's character Jackson Maines. It's a beautiful movie. Yes, it's sad. The ending's sad. My mom was like, "Oh, it's such a depressing movie," and the way I see it, I didn't see it as depressing. I saw it as a movie about addiction, and it is a realistic portrayal of addiction. I mean, the guy, when he's not doing the drugs, he's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's kind. He's tender. But when he gets into the drugs and the alcohol, he just doesn't know how to handle his demons, And that's addiction. I mean, you could have the nicest guy in the world, you can be the nicest guy in the world, but when you're in the throes of addiction, you can be a complete dick, and you can hurt and just kill the spirits of the people who love you. That's addiction for you. So when my mom was like, I don't understand why this happened or that, I'm just like, because he's an addict, and that's what addiction is. So I'm not gonna spoil the ending. I'm pretty sure most of you who have seen it, and I'm sure almost every one of you have seen it, knows what happens, but I'm not going to give it away. But that is my number 2 pick for best movie of last year, and I wish, I love Green Book, and I said, in a Facebook post that I don't know if it should have won, but I'm glad it did. I wish A Star Is Born had won Best Picture, because I think just everything just came together so beautifully. Number 1 is a movie that nobody saw called Mandy with Nicolas Cage. Yes, Nicolas Cage. It is a fantastic film. It was right up my alley. I could try to begin to explain it to you, but I don't think I could do it justice. All I know is Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cageiest. Andrea Riseborough plays the title character. She's a very damaged woman. She's a graphic artist. She and Nicolas Cage, he's like a woodsman who chops trees down. They live in this, this off the beaten path house, and somehow she catches the attention of this cult leader, this Charles Manson-ish cult leader, and he just becomes obsessed with her and basically hires. He not really hires, but a sacrifice is made, and they capture Mandy. They give her this drug, and he's this cult leader is basically be one with me, blah blah blah, and she's laughs at him, and they basically kill her. And Nicolas Cage, they leave for dead, and Nicolas Cage, he may be down, but he's not out, and he goes to town on these guys. I wouldn't say it's not like John Wick in that way. It's not like martial arts, but it's just, it's the way I'm describing it sounds like this, really rote, generic film, but just the way it's filmed, the way it's the cinematography, the score. The first 30 minutes to an hour is basically just building up the relationship between Nicolas Cage's character and Mandy. Nicolas Cage plays a character named Red Miller, and like I said, Andrea Riseborough plays the title character, and she gives just a lovely, haunting performance. It's she's not in it for very long, but when she's in it, when she meets her demise, it's tragic, and Nicolas Cage's reaction to all of it, just. I recently had a bout where I lost it. Okay, and this is where we're gonna get into some serious shit here. I had a meltdown, if you will, a mental breakdown, where I was in my house by myself, and I'm not the type of person who screams. I don't yell. I internalize everything, like I said at the beginning, and I just started to scream at nothing. The house was empty. The dog was there. The cat was there. I spooked the dog. The cat's all right. The cat's always all right. She does what she does. But I just started screaming, anguish. Like, I just didn't know how to it all came out, and so the reason I bring that up is because when Mandy meets her demise, Nicolas Cage just starts screaming. He's in the bathroom. He's in his tighty whities and a t-shirt, and he's, like I said, he's been left for dead, and he's just screaming, just pure rage and just anguish, and I related to that on such a primal level, just the thought of like losing my Mandy. If anything happened to her, I mean, I don't know what I would do. I can't, and I have thoughts about this. What if something happened? How would I go on? Or if somebody did something to her, that hurt her. How would I handle it? Well, the one time anything did happen to her, some guy called my wife a dumb bitch, and I just stood there and I just did nothing. And it will be something I will always regret. Just never, not standing up for my wife. And I think about it a lot, like what should I have done? What could I have done? What could I have said something? Should I have said something? Yeah, I should have. Should I have done something? I don't know. I don't want to go to jail. But, at the same time, what can you, when you're in the moment, for me, my biggest character defect is people pleasing and fear of conflict. And that, unfortunately, I don't want to say it shined through because there's definitely nothing shining that day. But I had my moment, and I lost it. But anyway, so getting back to Mandy, he's screaming, and he just goes on a revenge streak, and people get dispatched in pretty inventive ways. I'll have you know, and it's just it's directed by the son by it was directed by Panos Cosmatos. He's the son of his dad directed Tombstone. His dad is George P. Cosmatos. And I know everybody loves the movie Tombstone. I could take it or leave it. I know people love it. I don't know if I'm gonna get more hate from that or from the whole Scientology thing. My wife thinks the Scientology thing. We shall see. But anyway, that being said, Mandy, it's a great movie. Nobody saw it in the theater. I think it got a very, very limited release, but it's people, like, I watched it for the first time with my friend Stacy. Hey, Stacy. And she was like, "How do you find these movies? Where do you find them?" And I'm like, I just keep my ears to the ground, man. Like, there's good stuff out there. There's good stuff, and you just got to find it, there are movies out there that big budget movies like the Transformer movies, and then there are the little guys that become cult hits, and I can tell you that Mandy is going to become a cult hit. I guarantee you it. I mean, it's got universal acclaim going for it. It has one of the best Nicolas Cage performances I've seen in ages. I mean, where he's not just phoning in. I mean, it just like last year's movie, Brawl in Cell Block 99. That was my favorite movie of last year, and nobody even heard of it. I had to kind of spread the word and like let people borrow it, and now people are like, "Oh, hey, Brawl in Cell Block 99, fantastic movie." So yeah, those are my top 10 favorite movies, and this has been probably the longest solo episode I've ever done, but I feel, like I said, I feel like I needed to kind of come clean with you guys because I lost the courage, I think, to kind of talk to you guys, and that's not this, just like I said that this podcast isn't meant to be hateful, like, I removed that one episode, the only child episode, where I, basically obliterated, my an old friend on my podcast. Like I said, this podcast is not just for you, but it's for me. I need to be able to communicate what I'm feeling, and some people can call it art, some people can call it bullshit, other people can call it narcissism and mental, verbal and mental masturbation. I don't give a shit. It is whatever I want it to be and whatever it needs to be. Okay, and I'm grateful that I was given this microphone by, again, a friend, Dan Clement, and I'm trying not to get emotional, but it's just amazing. It's been an amazing experience, and I don't want it to end. And I was really afraid that I was just gonna, because I'm one of those guys that are like, I get manic, and I get into a groove, and I get excited about something, and then I just burn out. I burn myself out, and that's kind of what I felt like I was doing. And now I don't feel like that. I need it. It's time to start up again. I need to start getting some guests, and hopefully we'll get some soon. We've got a really good one coming in May. I think her name is Kate Barthel. She's an occupational therapist, world-renowned. And I'm really pleased to have her on the show. Actually, I'm more than pleased. I'm pretty honored. I mean, because some of her, she's been to some pretty, big venues, and it's talking to her is going to be a real honor. And my wife is going to be participating in that particular interview, which is really cool. I'm actually thinking about, on June 13th, which is my wife and I, our 9-year anniversary, having a podcast episode where she and I have a conversation. We'll see if that pans out. I don't know. But, like I said, this podcast, it's not my livelihood, but it keeps me alive, and it keeps me, the spark in me going, and, as always, I'm just doing this. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Most of the stuff that goes on this thing, it's not rehearsed. This is me just unzipping myself and letting you guys see me. Okay? And we live this life, as always, one day at a time. Glad to be back.
Neuronymous.